Nicola Sturgeon, the murky end to the SNP chief's legal career. The SNP leader was eventually cleared by the Scottish Law Society more than 14 months after a complaint was made by a victim of domestic abuse. Ms. Sturgeon spent several years working as a solicitor before becoming an MSP in 1999, although this episode has never been revealed before. When she was asked in 2014 about rumours that something had gone wrong, Ms. Sturgeon replied, "I've got nothing I want to confess." Even her biographer, David Torrance, was unable to discover much beyond the fact that Ms. Sturgeon did mostly matrimonial and civil court work. The First Minister's legal background has come under renewed focus recently as a result of the probe into the handling of harassment complaints against her predecessor, Alex Salmond. Mr. Salmond successfully challenged the Scottish government's unlawful and biased investigation at a judicial review, with the debacle costing the taxpayer up to £1 million. The top QC and Labour peer, Lord Falconer, recently said Ms. Sturgeon made a profound misstatement about the legal advice she received, which urged her to concede the case at an earlier stage. Scottish Conservative leader Ruth Davidson asked at Holyrood, why did the First Minister think that she was a better lawyer than Roddy Dunlop QC and the advocate Christine O'Neill? Ms. Sturgeon replied, "I did not and I most definitely do not." The complaint against Ms. Sturgeon was brought by a battered wife who turned to the newly qualified solicitor for help after years of abuse at the hands of her husband. Ms. Sturgeon was working at Sterling law firm Bell and Craig when the client, now a grandmother in her 60s, first sought her help in July 1996. Over the next 14 months, despite the woman being followed, threatened and physically attacked, it was claimed Ms. Sturgeon did not seek a court order against her violent partner. The client also alleged that Ms. Sturgeon failed to send off her legal aid application, despite claiming that she had done so. After Ms. Sturgeon left the firm for a new job in Glasgow, the unsent application was discovered in the client's file by her new solicitor, Kath Dowdalls, now a QC. In stark contrast to Ms. Sturgeon's inaction, Ms. Dowdalls immediately secured both legal aid and an interdict with power of arrest against the husband, ending his stalking and threats. The client wrote to the Law Society in November 1997, saying, "I sincerely hope that you look into this case as I certainly would not wish Ms. Sturgeon to ill-advise further matrimonial cases which she is clearly not capable of dealing with. I feel as if I have been trailed through over a year of ill advice and wasted time." The following month, the client's outstanding fees totaling £542 were waived by Bell and Craig as a goodwill gesture. A year later, in December 1998, the Law Society sent the client a 5-page report which stated that her complaint would be investigated in the professional misconduct category. The 3 individual allegations were failing to raise the interim interdict against the ex-husband, misleading the client about the legal aid application and failing to properly take her financial circumstances into account. Ms. Sturgeon was eventually cleared by the Law Society in April 1999, although the client no longer has the decision letter. A Law Society spokeswoman said, "There was a complaint which was investigated but it was not upheld." A Holyrood committee found that 2 female civil servants who complained about Mr. Salmond had been badly let down by the Scottish government. It described the outcome of the judicial review as being devastating for the government, as well as being wholly unsatisfactory for the 2 women who had made complaints. The client said, "It is an old story, but it is one that should be told. The way those women were let down was her responsibility and it was completely wrong. It goes back to my story. There was no responsibility taken. How can you sail through life like that and not admit any responsibility for when things go wrong?" When she told me she was moving on to politics, an alarm bell rang and I immediately thought, that's why I'm getting nowhere. She was focused on herself and her own career. To me, that's what she is doing now as well. Where was her focus on the 2 women who complained about Alex Salmond? It is a case of history repeating itself.